You're listening to the podcast experience, and now we bring you part 2 of the conversation between Stan and Nyxie Jaya. Enjoy.
What happened? I was really honest, and I told him, look, this is what happened. I die, and I'm born again. Took him to a forest. We were walking and then biking, and he was with his chute in this bike around the forest. It was quite funny to have him. And at some point, I told him what happened with me in the north of Europe with this friend. And I said to him that I was believing that this will be also really good for him to take it, because he had 4 car accidents in 1 month. And his son tried to commit suicide during that month.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I really think that you will. So he said to me, he looked at me and he was like, I had a dream where you were telling me this. I literally dreamed of this moment where
That's
you
what
were
he
starting
said?
telling me this. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It was really weird and strange, but really interesting. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? Don't tell me if you want or not. What I propose you is that you want to do the pilgrim road, the walking road of Camino de Santiago, the north of Spain. So let's rent a house for a week in the north of Portugal. And in this place, you will have the opportunity to do it. I will prepare everything. We will have a month before this, and I will prepare everything for you. And if you want to do it, you ask me. I will not insist you. And it doesn't matter if you do it or not. After that, we do the pilgrimage road and we walk. Something that I know that you really wanted to do at the time, so let's do it. What do you think? And he was like, yes, okay, yeah, let's go for this. So after that, what happened is that I was need to do something that was making me even more scared about it. First, it was to get all the tools, everything, this medicine, the tools for serving this medicine and everything. But then the next step was something I was knowing deeply. That was that for serving something like this, I was needing to practice. I was needing to know, to go into this place myself. But I was like, fuck, how am I going to do that? I don't want to go and die again. I don't want to die again. This is it's like when you do bungee jumping. The first time you don't know where you're going, so it can be okay. You're scared, but the second time you're so scared because you know already where you're going. So still, I get all the equipment and I try myself. But again, and this is really interesting, what this medicine have, it doesn't work. It doesn't work if you're not ready. If you don't want to go, it doesn't do anything to you.
And your uncle was with you?
No, this was before. This was the preparation
before
I went.
Okay.
Before I went with him.
Okay.
So I was doing it. I was literally taking this, and it was not working. And then I also give it to some friends, and it also was not working. And I was like, okay, sure. So I was like, probably I'm doing something wrong. And after different tries and just like trying to understand, I just realized it's just me. It's just my own attitude towards it. So at some point, I gather my courage, and I was able to prepare myself and to do it a second time for real. What happened is that I went to the same room. I went to the same place.
The same place
But
you
this
had the first
time-
experience.
Yes, exactly. But this time in this room, instead of being a clown, a human clown, it was this symbol.
Mm.
This it's also called the star of Lakshmi, or the 8-point star.
Okay.
And what happened is that as I was looking into it, the information I was downloading is that I was every human being in this planet. That I was everyone. And I remember I started to feel the suffer, so much suffer of killing myself, raping myself, of treating me so bad, of shouting to me, like everything, and I started to cry and cry like super loud, like it was so much. And I remember like not stopping cry for almost 4 hours, something like that. It was like so much. And at some point I managed to like calm me down. I was still really in shock about this. At some point I was knowing that I was quite ready. I did something else later that was really interesting, also experiment, that I was just wondering if mushrooms were also able to be as strong as these. And I took a really big amount. Like I took 50 grams of mushrooms, 50 grams. That is so much to eat that literally what I did, it was to get the synthesized version, the extraction of it. And still what I experienced there, it was that this was not even closer at all to what I experienced by taking this other medicine. So I was knowing that I was ready. I was knowing that I was ready because I was able to give this successfully to other people, to be able to give to myself, to have that breakthrough, to have that downloaded, and also especially to have this patience and this acceptance about whatever he wanted to do, it was okay. And I was accepting that. And that was the most important thing, to accept that. So we went to the cabin, and I didn't say anything. And then after 2 days, he asked me to do it, but I didn't offer him. And then after another day, he asked me 2 times more. So to the third time, I was like, okay, I think we are ready. I was looking to be sure that he was sure. And we prepared the thing. He was having a chair outside, and I gave it to him a really small amount. And I remember how he was really surprised. And by the way, here I want to say, this is really important. At that time, okay, I confused 5-meo DMT with DMT. They are not the same thing. It's not the same thing. But because I was believing it was the same thing, it was working in the same thing, in the same way, which is really interesting.
It was working for him or for you? Like he
For both.
took it?
Yes.
For both. Okay.
I want to give that, it's important. Just for anyone that want to try. I was taking DMT, and all these times I thought I was taking 5-meo DMT, but it was DMT. It was just DMT. And then what happened is that I gave it to him a really small amount, and he was like, "What? I can hear the flap of the birds, and I can see the trees of the bees, and I can see the movement of the air, and it's what the heck? What is happening? This is amazing." And I was like, "You're increasing the awareness that you have so you can perceive more. It's actually what happens. DMT regulates your own awareness."
Yeah.
And he was like, "What? And this is a small amount? I really want to take the big amount." And I was like, "Okay, great, amazing. You know what? Let's do first MDMA, because we need to talk about many things first." So we did MDMA, and then we started to have a really deep conversation about me being LGTB, being queer, because he was at the time a national policeman anti-drugs. He was having one of the third most important companies of lawyers after it. He went actually quite far, but he was having this mentality. But anyway, I remember when I told him about my queerness, he got scared on MDMA. So imagine how scared he was about all these things. He used to be machist, racist, homophobic, all the things. And then after we were having this conversation, at some point I was like, "Okay, you know what? I think you're ready." And I give to him quite nice amount of DMT. Usually when you take DMT, you are there for between 6 to 10 minutes. I was looking to the clock. It was already 20 minutes that he was there. And I was like, what did I do to my uncle? I don't know what to do. Half an hour. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to take some DMT and ask what I can do. Because I was so confused that I was like, I'm going to just
So
ask
you,
to the real.
so you, so you're gonna take some yourself to go to go ask yourself what to do when you come out.
Of course.
Okay. I have to know how that worked. Then it worked out.
Actually, it worked really well.
It worked?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It was also a really interesting experience. At some point, I was seeing through another person playing with their hands. And then as I opened my eyes, I was seeing the flower of life everywhere. And I remember coming to him, hugging him, and telling him, I need you here back with me. He opened his eyes, and I remember his face. It was an expression I never saw in him before. And this time it was like, oh my goodness, what I just did. And I remember at some point he said to me, I just understand it. I understand it now. I got it. I was so scared of the situation because I was not perceiving anymore that I was in front of my uncle. I was perceiving I was in front of someone else. And at some point it just passed the days. I didn't want to speak so much because I was a little bit frightened myself. And this was on MDMA, so imagine. And at some point, we started the pilgrim road. We started to walk. And I asked him, what did you saw? What happened? He said, I experienced myself being every person I ever interact with. Now I understand it. I'm just all the time with myself. And every time I do something to other person, I'm doing it to myself. He had suddenly so much compassion. I started to ask him about all the previous things he used to believe. He was not any more racist. He was not any more homophobic or machist. Instead, he went to having ideas of typical right politics to become anarchist. And I was like, what the heck?
So he
It
changed
was such a
completely.
complete change. And then when we were like walking, we were having this conversation, like, what do you want to do with your life now? What is the thing you want to do? He said, I want to help other people to wake up. I want to help other people to heal themselves. Let's make a healing center, a spiritual center, where people can come and they can heal themselves.
Wow.
This spiritual center is now
It's now
existing.
functioning?
Yes.
Wow.
This is functioning now. He sell everything. He sell the company he was having, the house he was having, everything. When he came back home, by the way, this was also a really interesting thing, that really random information. At some point while I was with him in the room, we looked to the right, and it was next to us. That was looking a bird, like next to us, literally, and we were inside the house. And it was not something that we were not anymore on psychedelic. We were not anymore in any other state. At some point, we opened the place and the bird just went out. It was really interesting because the bird was not scared. It was just really curious, looking to us what we were doing. Anyway, the thing is that at some point, when he came back home, the day he came back home, it was the day where we finished the Pilgrim Road. It was the same day, by the way, that my grandmother died. And
sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Like I felt so synchronized, so in tune. And that day, when he come back home, his wife was not recognizing him. And for what he told me, at some point, he put his arms into his wife and told her, "You don't remember me? When we meet each other, when we were 14." And he started to cry and say, "But how is this possible? How you clean so much yourself that you went so back in time?" And he was like, "It's this medicine that have this capacity After this, of course, my family was pretty confused. They were like, what the heck is going on, But slowly they started to understand. They actually asked me to give them DMT, but they didn't have this change. They didn't have this shift because they were not looking for it. They were just curious, scared a little bit also. But that is the thing. If something doesn't work, if you don't want it,
You have to be basically ready for it.
yes, exactly. Like, completely ready. It's not just you believe you're ready. It's like you need to really feel that you are ready for it. And then, then after that, I was traveling around the world, and he started to build this place. And I changed many things.
Well, that is very fascinating. That's interesting. The next question I wanted to ask was, you said in your profile that you became a
Yes.
shaman.
Yes.
Okay, how did that happen? Is there like an initiation that gets you into being a shaman?
Oh, I was already experienced by traveling around the world. I was actually learning from some shamans, and I went to the psychedelic colloquium in Sweden, where it was different scientists, researchers that they were explaining their findings, and they were sharing the knowledge of the things they know, how to do it. And I was also, this is important to mention, that when I was 21, after my second Vipassana retreat, I had this really big calling at the time of giving to my sister MDMA, because the first psychedelic experience ever I have in my life was actually with MDMA. And what happened on MDMA is that I was first time able to see that I was someone really different to what I thought I was, in terms of how, when you are feeling this love for yourself, you can easily realize that the things you actually want to are really different things to what the people is expecting from you. And that was the first time I was actually able to free myself from the fear of dancing.
Yeah.
So it was a really interesting and beautiful transformation that happened there. Of course, not as what I previously told you, but that made me at the time to find out MDMA that was clean, call a friend that was a psychologist, that he was also interested to do therapy with this. And then we were reading the manual from MAPS, this organization, this multidisciplinary organization of psychedelic research. And we were having my sister at my home. She was already knowing everything that we were doing. And I gave to her MDMA. And we were like guiding her about this inner journey to heal certain things. And that was so successful that it made me later wanted to continue giving to other people MDMA and seeing how this was developing. So I can say to you that I was having this kind of like second life where I was giving psychedelics to friends and family. It was not so public. I was only doing it with those who were really close to me. When I did it to my uncle, that was a completely different story.
And
But I was
these people were old enough; they were making the decisions themselves, right?
yes, absolutely, yes. And then one of the things that happened is that when I went to Iceland and I started to live there, I started to live there because I was not feeling any more comfortable continuing in Spain at the time. Many reasons for this. But basically in Iceland, what happened is that Iceland is one of the countries that is the easiest to find jobs, especially if you are from Europe and you have easily access to residency. And I was trying and trying, and it was all the time different synchronicities that was not allowing me. And I was not understanding why. But at the same time, every time I was talking to people about the experiences and things that happened with the psychedelic journeys I had and the things I did it also with my family, they were really amazing. To the point that at some moment, yoga teacher came to me and said, please, I want to learn from you. I want to give you all the tools and I want to give you clients. Can you charge for what you do? And I was like, what? I never thought about charging about this. Really interesting, And at some point, I was also really curious about if I was fully allowed in other senses to do this. At the time I asked, more than ask, I will say it came to me. When you open yourself to this realm, we can say that the different types of beings, entities, whatever you want to call it, they have different approaches, different ways to treat you and to give you information. You can believe in this or not, you need to, but at some point they were specifically calling me and saying, we want your help. We want your help. We're going to give you people. And I was like, but I don't know anyone here. How I'm supposed to. And then I started to receive people from nothing, people I was not knowing. They were literally coming to me and saying, I want to pay you for doing this work with me. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So I was finding in one hand, I was not able to get any type of job except this.
Yeah.
And this was like many people coming to me from nothing I was not knowing. I was suddenly having a space. I was not need to pay for anything. And I was like, okay, I guess I need to do this.
Yeah.
I don't have
And
any
most of
other
them were
chance.
just strangers
So
you've
I
never
started
met
to,
before?
sorry?
I said most of them were just strangers you've never met before?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
yes, absolutely. It was people I didn't know from before. Some people, they were not able to tell me from where they were
Yeah.
coming from.
Mm.
Like people that was coming to me and saying, "Oh, I felt this energy from you. I was just having this need to write to you and ask you for this help," because they were feeling it. It was so strange. I don't know, but
What
the
kind
thing
of
is
help
that
were they asking for?
they were looking to go deeply into themselves using DMT.
Okay.
They were looking that I was doing a similar work that I did with my uncle to
Okay.
them, and that's actually what I started to do there. I started to take people into really deep journeys of transformation. And for me, because that was also the first time I was charging for this, like I was having experience previously from this of almost like 5 years of giving psychedelics to different people. But this time was people paying for me, paying me for doing this. So I was taking it even a lot more seriously in terms of I really want to give the best of myself. So every time I was having any session with someone, later I was doing a critique. I was like, okay, I was need to improve this and this. Next time I will do this instead. And I was just really quickly like improving a lot, improving the methodology, improving the things I was doing. And really quickly went from really low level of the place I was living and everything to live in Seljarnes. That is one of the most rich places in Iceland, Ilmasion.
Wow.
Next to the lighthouse there, and I was having other clients. I started to charge a lot of money. Like per session, I went from 1,000 euros to 2,000 euros per session. And at some point, I started to have people that they were asking me to teach them.
How long did this take to get to that point of making
This
that kind
point,
of money?
it took around 2 years and a half.
It's a pretty short time to get to that point.
Yeah, I know. The reason is because, okay, I'm going to tell you, it was this aim that I was having of trying to do my best job. It was because I was so obsessed with having a similar result to what I had within myself and what I had with my uncle. So when I was not having that, when the person was coming to me, it was not having a full life change. I was like, I'm doing something wrong here. What I can do to improve this? This actually make me to at some point go into Buffo. The one that I told you that I confused with, this one is even more powerful than DMT. And this one even shifted myself even more deeply. And I started to develop a technique where I was mixing DMT with Buffo, with 5-meo, and also with MDMA. And I was going so far with every person there that at some point, of course, a lot of people started to talk about this. And then at some point when I offer the possibility of learning, different people that they were already working with this with other medicines. They came to me and said, yes, we want to learn from you. So
So
that
were
is
they
pretty
get
much happened. Yes.
so were they getting the results they were expecting? Were you getting
Yes,
positive results?
absolutely. Yeah, I was taking people that they wanted to commit suicide. They were like really
Oh,
in bad situations to feeling completely different persons, really energized, and having this not just for one day, no, they
yeah.
just to continue their life, like a full change, life change, one single experience. And this is also one of the things I like and I love it to do is that I was trying that every person I take it, I was having only one session with that person because I didn't want it to do more. Because if I was doing more, it means that I was not doing a good job.
Okay. Great. So that's how you became a shaman.
Yes, basically.
I also read somewhere that shamans communicate with spirits. Is that true?
Yeah. Yes.
So are you able to do that too?
Yes.
Okay. That might be a podcast for another day because that will take another 2-3 hours. Yeah. So let's talk about, I don't know if it's okay, if you're comfortable or not, talk about your gender and when you found out who you were, awareness of your sexuality, and how was the journey. You can make it as brief as possible. You don't have to go into too many details.
Okay, sure. Okay, so my gender was always something quite weird for me. First, because, well, I don't want to go into a lot of detail. So I will just give to you the
No,
detail
don't.
I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to give
Just
to
keep
you.
it very as brief as you can, as brief and as
But
comfortable as you
basically,
are.
mhm, basically, my body was having a different hormonal problems. I
Okay.
was not developing my body in the way I was supposed to develop. I was having this thing about I don't know how to identify myself, but I was identifying myself as pretty androgynous, not as a male or as a
That's it.
female. Um,
Okay.
what I can tell you is that it's something that it make me to realize, it make me to go into deep spaces of realizing how I am being treated when I present myself as a female versus as a male
Yeah.
versus as something that maybe people
Yeah.
cannot tell. It has been a journey of recognizing how it's not something I choose.
I-
The same way you don't choose if you like female or male,
Yeah.
you just know it.
It's not a choice, basically.
It's not a choice.
The way I understand it is, sex is what we're born as, but gender is something we identify as. It's on a spectrum, and you can fall on any part of the spectrum.
This is the thing. Like your identity is made by. This is a question. Is your identity made by what you recognize that is you, or what you choose?
My identity would be what I am, what I'm comfortable with, and who I am, and I would have to express that for others to be able to recognize and identify me as that which I want to be.
I think that is the thing. Your identity choose things, but your identity is not
Yeah.
what you choose. Your
Okay.
identity is what you discover that you are. Your identity is something that actually you are slowly finding out about yourself. You know, when you came to this world, you usually don't have words to describe your identity.
Yeah.
What I mean is that when we born, we have a sense of who we are. We have a sense, and this sense is still not yet explored.
It's not developed
You don't
enough yet.
know. Yeah, you don't know.
Mm.
Is it something that I'm going to like it? So I don't know
Okay.
if I'm going to like it. It's more, I see identity more is an equation. And then you can give to this equation different numbers, different things, and then it gives different results. But until you don't experience, you don't have different experiences, you don't discover your identity. You don't discover who you are. You have a sense of who you are, and that is what you are, but you are not putting it into thoughts. So that is the thing. Like you probably can notice that maybe you like one smell more than the other smell, or one type of form of body more than the other, but until you don't have the words to describe that, you cannot say to other people, identify with this. You still have that, you still have a sense of who you are, but you don't have the words. And this is what I'm trying to say, is that I'm not a label. The label is not who I am. The label helps me describe what I am perceiving inside myself, but it's not who I am.
It's a deep way to explain it. I always identify as sex, male, gender, man.
That is the thing. Also, this is really weird because that is the labels that we used to use for a really long time. But when you go to the intersex spectrum, you can say this person have a vagina, but hey, this actually is really small and actually have the urethra and down in the part, and maybe this person doesn't have X, maybe have ovaries. What is that? Is that a male? Is it a female?
That's something I looked up not too long ago about intersex, and there are a pretty amount of intersex individuals in the world. A little bit of gender education from you tonight. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, you're a shaman. Have you discovered yourself fully? What would you label as, or would you prefer?
You mean if I am choosing right now any label to define myself? Right now, I am specifically labeling myself more as a midwife.
A midwife.
Midwifers of Gaia.
Of Gaia. Okay.
My main thing.
So no gender labeling.
Oh, gender. Yeah, no. I usually prefer, honestly, female. As like speaker, the pronouns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I looked in your resume online. You won some awards from Forbes 30 Under 30. Amazing. That's a great feat. And how did that feel?
That was hard.
You have all the awards. There are many of them. They just deal with one.
When they give it to me, the prize of Forbes, I was actually in that precise moment exploring my gender identity. And I remember at the time when they were passing the mic, every person that was on the podium, like speaking, and they were asking this question in that moment about how men feels about being in the startup world, how woman feels. And at some point they give it to me at the end, the mic, and I'm like, identify myself with this. I'm queer.
Okay.
And I remember precisely how people there, they were in shock. They were in shock because that was in Spain. And
they were in shock?
Yes, they were in shock. Yes, they were like, what the heck? Who are you? Why you're here? Because like, it was this place where it was like people like really formal, like trying to fit in the square that society they give it to them. And then I was like, here I am. This is not, I don't identify with these two labels you're putting here. And that basically cost me to people later got a little bit scared.
Yeah.
And I remember like literally
what were you
after
presenting as then? What were they perceiving?
I'm not sure. What I know is the reaction that happened. What happened is that as I went out of the place and I received the prize and everything, I remember one girl come to me and say to me, wow, you were so brave to open yourself here. And then I see how the different people that they were doing interviews to everyone, they were going to them, but none of them, they were coming to me. They were just not coming to me. And I was like, wow, why is this happening? And of course, it's because this is the thing, especially a country like Spain, I would say, but I think this happened almost everywhere. It's not, the media is not used to show about anyone that is so out of the norm. Unless they want to do it, unless they are looking specifically for that, because maybe it's the the LGBT day or something like that. It's a pride, and it's, oh yes, let's look for the weirdos. Where are they? Oh yes, today is the day anti-racism or violence against women. Where are the women? Where are the? That is usually what happens in media.
Yeah.
So that was what I experienced myself, and of course it was quite a shock of water, but that is what actually made me to go to Iceland. And in Iceland, I was really free to actually be myself in that terms,
Oh
in that
wow.
sense. I
Okay.
was like, here I am, this is who I am, and I was presenting myself without no issue, and I was having a lot of people coming to me, and it was because Iceland is actually really open-minded in that sense, really accepting in that
Yeah.
sense. I'm not
Great.
saying that
Cool.
it's fully accepting, but
Yeah,
it's a
definitely.
lot more than what I experienced there in Spain, for sure.
Okay. How about New Zealand? Would you say the same thing for New Zealand?
I think I didn't been here enough
Yes.
to feel into it. I feel it's a lot more open mind for sure than Spain. Not sure. I don't think as
Yeah, sure.
Iceland.
Okay.
And at Iceland, I perceive
We'll
Iceland a lot more open
we'll
mind.
check back in like another 6 months.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, definitely. All right, so we're gonna end in a very more cheerful mood. I know
Yeah.
you talked about the psychedelics and stuff, so I want to hear a good story about a good trip you've ever had or a bad trip. And if you never had it, somebody that did.
Sure.
And what
So
causes it? Why do people have
yeah,
bad trips and some people have good ones like you? Yeah.
that's a really good question. Basically, bad trips. It happens because you increase your awareness. You're increasing your awareness, and then you start to perceive things that usually you don't allow yourself to perceive. The walls that usually you are putting to protect yourself from things that maybe you don't want to remember or know, they start to crumble, and then you are exposed to them. Psychedelics, they make you to go into this place where you don't have escape from yourself, and the only thing you can do is to actually accept yourself, accept what is happening. What is actually a bad trip? A bad trip, I can say to you, it happens mainly for two reasons. First reason, you find something about yourself, about your environment, about someone that is there that you don't want to accept. And then you
Yeah.
try to run away from that, but you
Yeah.
can't because it's in yourself. That is a bad trip.
Yeah.
You're fighting with yourself, and it's really unpleasant. The other thing that can happen is basically a bad trip that you will have, doesn't matter if you're on psychedelics or not. Imagine you go to, I don't know, a building demolition, and they are like with this huge ball, like, and explosions everywhere, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just exaggerate a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you are there, you probably will not have really good time there.
Yeah.
It will be not really pleasant. All the smoke, you cannot breathe, all the things coming to you, but what the heck is going on? And the thing is that when you take used to be something that was not so overwhelming, suddenly it duplicates, triplicates, and it's a lot more intense. So what it was maybe not too much, like maybe you have the washing machine working in your room while you are taking 10 grams of mushrooms, which is not a good idea, honestly. But if you do that, something that maybe is not so unpleasant at the time, maybe it will be becoming horror. It will be a horror. And that is the thing why it's so important that if you don't
And
want to
it feels
fight,
so real too, right? You don't know that it's just in you, in your mind or something. It feels like it's happening in the physical world.
you are sorry, what do you mean?
Yeah, the experience you're having, yeah, like the horror, like you said, if you're going through a bad trip and you're having horrific experience, you're seeing
Oh
things that
yeah,
you
but of course, but this is something, it can happen, doesn't matter, it can happen to anyone. Suddenly someone receives a call, hey, your whatever has died. And then the person starts to have a horror time. It's whatever information hits you that you are incapable of accepting, it will be quite hard. It will be hard. So this is why when you do
So how do you
psychedelics,
counter
especially,
stuff like that? Before you go, you take DMA. Is there a way
no, I
to
mean,
be ready or prepared for something like that?
actually, I can leave or MDMA use that actually can be really good.
Okay.
I can tell you that you don't need to, and most of people they don't do it that way. I think it's an attitude, but also it's about the tools you have within yourself. For example, if you did previously a Vipassana retreat of 10 days in silence before you take any psychedelic, you just go and you have this experience, you will actually get a really nice tool that is actually how to do this type of meditation. That you experience basically how, as you observe every part of your body, you are developing this capacity to accept this equanimity, this concentration, to be good with yourself. So if you have the capacity, if you had already this muscle developing yourself of accepting the things as they are, then it will be really easy that if you go into a higher awareness, that you will be able to navigate all these things. If you don't have that and you are worried about that, then of course it's important that you start with a small amount, and ideally that you have someone. Usually this is why people, when they take psychedelics, they have a trip sitter. For me,
Yeah,
it's not something I
I've heard
need.
that.
I can take really big amounts without no problem, because I know myself. I know how is to navigate that, no problem. I can tell you, like, so for example, when I did this third Vipassana retreat and I discovered this about myself, I was not taking any psychedelic. That was a bad trip. I can tell you, for example, one type of bad trip that is common for, it can happen to certain people, is that when you get into enough awareness, the layer of separation, it goes away. You have this absolute realization that is not separation between the observer and what is observed. And when the observer and what is observed becomes one, then you can feel this sense of unity and expansion, but also you can feel and you can have this realization that is no one else, that is only one awareness.
Yeah.
And that, if you have previous trauma about being really lonely and abandoned, that can easily trigger that, and that can become a horror journey. So what I can tell you is that every journey, we can say bad trip, is an opportunity to look into yourself and to see what actually you need to work on. And for me, the problem itself and what causes so much suffer in general is the disconnection we have within ourselves and with other people. Is this lack of empathy towards other people, that we have wars, that we have climate change, that we have social injustice, and also is this disconnection within ourselves that creates so much suffer.
Yeah.
But disconnection happens from a lack of love, and you cannot love something that you are afraid of. If you look into the things that you are usually disconnected from, there are usually things that you are afraid of. The things that are really hard to connect with usually are things that are afraid of. So if you realize this, if you realize that actually fear is usually what stops you from becoming who you want to be, and literally to be happy, to be connected, to have more empathy, then you can target, you can say, oh, I actually fear the thing that is stopping me, and that is actually what I need to walk. What I need to walk is my fears. And I'm not saying to you, go to the biggest fear you have, but hey, if you walk towards your fears, you can choose the smaller fear that you have, but go to that fear and overcome it. Because if you do that, you want to find that you have this sense of feeling alive, of feeling more connected. This is what happens when you are not enough connected with your heart to the point that you can have full intuition. The only thing you can do to actually make yourself, to free yourself, is actually to connect with your fear and to realize where this fear is pointing. It's saying to you, I'm afraid of this thing or this other thing. Okay, so that means that actually I need to go that direction. I need to go into this direction because fear is telling me to don't go there. And then if you do that, you can actually realize you are not fear. For me, one of the biggest realizations I had at the time about fear was when I was my first experience with MDMA. When I took MDMA, I realized something really interesting. That I was feeling all this love for everything, for everyone, for all types of experiences. And fear completely went away. And I was like, wow, so now I don't have fear. And I just imagine myself, that doesn't mean that if I'm in the situation of cutting my arm, that I can do it without fear. And I just put myself in the situation, okay, I'm going to imagine I'm cutting my arm. Do I feel fear? And I was saying, no, actually, I don't feel fear. So I will be able to cut my arm without fear, right? This is really weird. Okay, but why I will not cut my arm? Because actually I love more have an arm than don't have it.
Yeah.
And I also imagine the situation of being hit by a car and I'm afraid of this on MDMA. And I was like, no, actually I'm not. Why I will not allow myself to be hit by a car if I can love that situation? Because I love actually more to have a life and to have a body than to have the experience of being hit by a car. But that was the really interesting thing. It was allowing me to see that it was a possibility to see the world from this loving place without fear. And when I was seeing everything from this loving place without fear, I was able also to surrender to whatever was coming to me with love. And at the same time, choosing the things I want to do from love, choosing what I want to do the most from love. Usually, most of people in this society are so conditioned by the fears that most of the decisions are based on
Fear.
go away of what they are afraid of. But if you go away of what you're afraid of, you're building fear. You are giving fear more power, and then you get more and more trapped, and you get more and more disconnected from yourself.
I have definitely heard that. And I think it has truth in it. All right, we're gonna be wrapping it up. And this was very interesting. There's a whole bunch of doors open that I would love to explore with you next time. I know definitely one aspect that I would love to talk about is the near-death experience part, the shaman part, and also a little bit more about understanding the gender part too. So these are areas that next time we'll make out enough time and we can explore that more. And thank you so much for the evening, given 2 hours of your day. I really appreciate that. And I would say you are in art now. You do some drawings and paintings. I think I saw a little bit of artwork on your profile.
Yes,
Okay.
I do also make music.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I saw some of your artwork. It was really nice. Really nice. Thank you so much, Nyxie. It was amazing having you. Thank you so much, everybody. Koala Experience Podcast. Thank you.
Thank you again for tuning into our first episode, A Tale of AI, Psychedelics, and Reemergence. We hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed publishing it. Your support means the world to us, and we truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. Be sure to follow us and stay connected so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming releases. Until next time, farewell, and thank you for being a part of our podcast journey.